Awesome. Okay. Hello.
Hi, Amy.
I'm super excited to have this conversation. Thank you for your time and thank you for agreeing to share part of your experience, part of your story, what working together looked like. I think it can be really helpful for other people, even just to hear other people's experiences and stories. So I'm really grateful to you for being open to this to begin with.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Awesome. Okay, so why don't we start with what is your name and how do we know each other?
So my name is Jessica Waller DeGennaro, and I found you through Instagram, and it was when I was kind of early in my sober journey, and didn't really. Actually at first, aside from my husband, didn't know anybody that was also sober.
Mhm.
So I was really just looking for community. And I think I came across a post that you had commented on, and I liked your comment. And then I
Mm.
started following you. But anyway, I really liked what you were posting and your content. And then I joined your Facebook community and we started interacting there. And then I think it was probably about a year ago when I reached out for coaching and we did it was a joyful sobriety program.
Yeah,
And that was over probably like five months or so it
yeah,
spanned in
yeah,
totality. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. Um, okay, cool. And so if you can think back, where were you before we started working together, and what
Mhm.
prompted you to reach out and sort of initiate that conversation about coaching?
Yeah. So at that point, I was around 2 years or close to 2 years sober. And I was not struggling in sobriety. I felt very confident in my sobriety. But what I was noticing was that I had a lot of habits and a lot of parts of my life, pre-sobriety that I carried over with me. And I had taken out the alcohol, but I hadn't really taken out the things that sort of hit the same way or made me feel the same way or fulfilled a need. And it all felt like I needed to shed that part as well
Mhm.
before I could feel fully free from alcohol.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get
Yeah.
that. And I think that's a really common experience that we don't talk a lot about, right?
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
alcohol's out of the mix, but we're maybe
Hmm.
not like thriving the way we thought that we would, or
Right.
it just doesn't like feel like what we thought it
Mhm.
might feel like. And I think some of
Yeah.
those things can linger until they're really kind of
Mhm.
addressed, and sometimes they come out in other ways, but
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. Um, and where are you now in terms of the shifts that you've experienced, whether it's like the habits that you mentioned, where are things now and how does it feel for you now?
Radically different.
Yeah.
And in a way that feels more like a staircase than an escalator, if that makes sense. And that was one
Hmm.
of my biggest ahas and takeaways. Because I used to very much be the type of person where I would say, okay, I'm going to do X, like I'm going to go on a diet, or I'm going to start going to bed at 8:30 or whatever that challenge was. And then if I didn't do it, it was like I felt like I failed.
Hmm.
But what I've learned is that it's much more like a graduated effort, and not every day is going to be perfect.
Hmm.
But like I've carried through, like you would be so proud of me if you could see like some of the ways that I've pulled what I've learned into my life.
Hmm.
Like I do tapping all the time.
Yeah.
I was sick the last couple weeks, and even I have a lot of like health anxiety, I've realized.
Hmm.
Um, and I was pretty sick, and I was like a couple of times I was feeling really, really bad, and it was making me feel anxious. So I did some tapping, and lo and
Yeah.
behold, an hour later, I was like making dinner with my family for the first time in a couple of weeks and felt completely normal. So
Yeah.
it's just things like that. Like I've carried that over meditation, butterfly
Yeah.
hugs, like all of the
Yeah.
the tools
Yeah.
have really been helpful. But I don't do everything every day. It's just kind of like oh, I haven't done this. This might help.
Yeah.
But all of
Yeah.
that has really pulled through to where I feel like I can make gradual changes and it's not
Yeah.
like a night and day. I don't feel like I'm giving up on myself. I don't feel
Yeah.
like I can't do it. My confidence is a lot better in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So more confident, a great set of
Mhm.
tools that you lean on as needed.
Yeah.
Um, Feeling like you can tackle change, and then also like giving yourself some grace in the process, not being so hard about, it having to be perfect or like only going a particular way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And able to set boundaries like that,
Mhm.
that was probably the biggest change and the greatest freedom that I got out of our sessions because
Yeah.
I had some pretty significant life events happen when we were
Mhm.
like in the middle of our sessions.
Yeah.
And a lot of that involved setting boundaries. And it was just like you were there in a way to kind of guide me through some of those
Hmm.
things.
Hmm.
And I'm so thankful because it built my confidence in being able to do that.
Yeah.
Still have
Yeah.
the boundaries I set when we were working together,
Yeah.
and have set more. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big
that's
thing.
amazing. And I'm so thrilled to hear that. Um, and that you continue to breathe life into all of that. And like, does it feel more, whether it's feeling more confident or holding your boundaries, maybe creating new ones, using your tools to support
Yeah.
you, is it feeling more like second nature at this point?
I would say so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels more like a part of who I am. It doesn't feel foreign. And like just I look back at the early part of our sessions and I
Mhm.
remember there was a time where we talked about meditation and I asked you if I could keep my eyes open. And
Yeah.
you're saying, well, it'd probably be more helpful if you could close them, but it was almost like what's standing in your way? What is like
Mhm.
what's the reason? And the reason for me was like, well, I kind of want to do other things at the same time that I'm meditating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
scared to slow down that much and just breathe and be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now, like, I did something on Insight Timer a couple nights ago, and it's
Yeah.
just it's just another one of those things where I remind myself it's okay
Yeah.
to breathe, it's okay
Yeah.
to take a pause.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll even hear you, like I'll say, "What would Amy say?" When I was sick, I took a week off of work
Yeah.
and I was like, Amy would tell me, like, take care of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that? What's stopping
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's very much become part of the way that I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I love
So
that. I
thank
love
you.
that. My pleasure. But also, thanks to you, right? Because, like, you're the one, you took it and you ran with it and you took it
Yeah.
and you implemented it. Um, so that's you, right? And also,
Yeah.
I remember that conversation about meditation where you were like, "Can I multitask?"
Right. Yeah. I think I
um,
wanted to take our calls as like walking calls. And I was like, well, I can get some exexercise in and then we can talk at the same time.
yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
I remember
yes,
that as
I've slowed
well.
down. Slow down. Yeah.
I like that. And I like that you've like given yourself permission to
Yeah.
do that as well. Cause I know it can be hard to slow down. I know that when we get sick, our bodies force us to, and
Yeah.
that can feel really challenging as well.
Yeah.
But I love that you've kind of like, yeah, just slowed the pace a little bit and gotten to a place where you know that not only is it okay to pause, that it's okay to breathe,
Yeah.
but like you need to do those things, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
does anything feel possible now for you that perhaps didn't feel so possible or maybe within reach before we started working together?
Yes. And a lot of like when we did a custom EFT session or tapping
Hmm.
session, and we worked on my confidence and specifically around speaking.
Hmm.
Have not had an anxiety episode on camera since.
So
um,
good.
but also, but I think that that alone has been like life changing. And I
Yeah,
still feel nervous. I still
sure.
tap before I have a big meeting. I've started putting, this was actually the wording was a recommendation from our CHRO, who I
Hmm.
had a conversation with. And actually, I told her about you and like what we had done together.
Hmm.
And I mentioned tapping, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, whenever I have a big meeting, I always put Zen time on my calendar. Actually, she said I have my assistant put my Zen time on my calendar for
Yeah,
30 minutes prior
yeah.
because I told her that one of the things I was working, I was like, when I think about, they had two VP roles posted in our
Hmm.
HR department,
Hmm.
and I wanted to apply and I didn't. And the reason I didn't was because I was like, I don't think I could ever be the person on camera, like, talking to the whole company and answering questions and doing Q&A, like all the things that she has to do.
Hmm.
Um, but I told her, I was like, this is giving me confidence where if those roles were posted today, I would absolutely apply and I would do it
That's big.
scared.
Yeah.
I would put the Zen time on my calendar, but I wouldn't be scared because of something like that. Like that was the thing that held me back when those roles
Yeah.
were available.
Hmm.
So anyway, she knows it now. We'll see if anything ever happens, but
Hmm.
no, I wouldn't let that hold me back from applying for something bigger because I was scared of like
Yeah.
having to speak in front of people or record a video or something like that. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
big. That's
yeah.
really
So that's
big.
big.
Yeah.
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 I'd
Awesome.
still be
I love
scared. I'd
that.
probably still be in like the office bathroom tapping or something.
Yeah. And
You
you
know.
know what? That's
Yeah.
okay, right? I don't think it's ever about like not feeling the thing. It's that, the thing isn't so big that it holds you back from doing whatever, going
Yeah.
after an opportunity or a different job or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
that's amazing. Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
so we've talked about some of the sort of key areas that you and I worked on in our time together. So we've talked
Mhm.
about habits, we've talked about confidence, we've talked about slowing down through meditation, we've talked a little bit about some of the tools like nervous system tools, but also tools like
Mhm.
meditation, like tapping. Um,
Mhm.
can you think of any other areas that we worked on that felt um, really impactful for you? And if those were the main ones, that's great. But I just wanted to see if there was anything else you could think of.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, like the boundaries and setting
Oh,
boundaries
right.
and
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
able to, yeah, and part of that is like being able to let go of things that are not serving you.
Hmm.
Because I think sometimes like I don't know that I would say I was a people pleaser or like a recovering people pleaser.
Hmm.
But I certainly, when it comes to people like family and people in my life that I've had friendships with or relationships with, or it was like there would be an air of guilt
Yeah.
that would kind of draw me back into places that I knew were not healthy for me, for my
Hmm.
daughter, my
Hmm.
family.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that was very impactful, was just,
Yeah.
having the opportunity to go through, like the timing was impeccable, but to
Hmm.
be able to kind of use that as an opportunity to learn those skills,
Hmm.
um, and it feels great. Like that's the most, like I've so much like mental freedom now.
Hmm.
And every once in a while there's still a little bit of like pain around it, but then I also
Yeah.
feel very proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've set a good example for my daughter in
Hmm.
doing so.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
did what I would want her to do in the same scenario, and
Hmm.
that feels pretty good.
Yeah. Definitely lots to
Yeah,
feel proud about.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and also, and I hope that this is okay to share, but you shared
Mhm.
tapping with your daughter, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like still to this day, she'll say, "Mom, can we do some tapping?"
Yeah.
She has a recital coming up. She's in her fifth year of dance,
Hmm.
and she asked if I could like write something down for her, if we could kind of create like a little mini script. She hasn't done it by herself yet,
Hmm.
but she wants to be able to do that backstage before she goes on.
Yeah. I
So
love
yeah,
that.
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and the resiliency quotient
Oh, yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
That was and that was something that you'd asked me to do before we started, and it was just kind of an assessment of where I was. And you can explain more what it is, but I took it also at the end right before our last session,
Mhm.
and looking back, some of the answers that I'd put in the first time, couldn't believe it was me. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't believe that I felt that way when I answered when I
Hmm.
took it the second time. And I was like, that blew my mind. That made me
Yeah.
feel pretty amazing to be able
Yeah.
to see how far I'd come mentally in the way that I
Yeah.
answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly why we do it at the beginning and at the end, and just to
Mhm.
kind of track progress.
Yeah,
And yeah, like you in particular shifted quite significantly in that assessment. Um, yeah, so that was another big one for
that's great.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad to hear. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, all of these shifts for you. Um, was there when it came time, to have a conversation about coaching, was there anything that almost prevented you from jumping in and signing up with me?
Um, Thinking about everything and everybody else before myself.
Yeah.
And I say that from a like I really had to think like I need to look out for myself first.
Mhm.
It's like if I had money to spend on something, I would think about things I needed for the house, things that my daughter needed, like maybe we
Yeah.
should take a vacation, whatever. But I had finally just gotten to the point where I was like, I need to take care of me.
Yeah.
And this is self-care,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is me taking care of me so that I can take care of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just it was putting everything and everybody before my own needs.
Yeah.
And when I realized that I was doing it, I was just like, I have to do something. This is
Yeah.
it. This is the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you're speaking to like such a common experience for women,
Mhm.
but especially
Yeah.
for moms, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
everybody else gets what they need, time, energy, resources, etc. And whatever happens to be left over is what you get, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah, it's not sustainable. And also, and obviously like this wasn't true for you when we started working together because you already had a couple of years of sobriety under your
Yeah.
belt, but I think that's why so many women and moms drink. It's just like a reclamation or an attempted reclamation of like their own
Yeah.
time and some freedom and something just for them, even
Yeah.
though, obviously it's not actually doing those things, but it feels like it at the time.
Yeah. And that's exactly like my background. It was taking like the hours at the end of the night, and I would stay up
Hmm.
too late, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I just have like I was having a great time finally, and I'd have one more, but it
Yeah.
was it was like taking that time
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again,
Absolutely.
another habit that I was like pulling through post.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you kind of already spoke to this, but I'll just throw it out in case you want to add
Yeah.
anything. And if not, that's totally cool. But what made you like pull the trigger and be like, yep, I'm doing this and it feels like the right thing in terms of coaching
I
with
rem-
me?
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember where I was, and I remember just not really feeling happy with myself.
Hmm.
And it was, I mean, and I am at the age where like I'm in perimenopause, my hormones are going crazy, my
Hmm.
weight is like this. And we were living in an Airbnb because we were renovating an older house that we had just bought. And I just had this feeling of like, I have to do something. Like nothing's gonna
Yeah.
change unless I
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
And I think I'd seen like one of your posts and had been thinking about it. And then I finally got the courage just to say, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. But I was just kind of at a low for a while in a lull. And,
Yeah.
I totally believe in biorhythms. And
Hmm.
I was down at the bottom of one of those waves and just
Yeah.
I needed to make the effort
Yeah.
to get back up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think what you're speaking to is such a common experience of like I feel stuck or I'm not happy or I'm not content and like something's got to give, right? Because otherwise it's just more of the same. And so yeah, I can really relate to that, and I'm sure other people can really relate to that too. Um, what would you honestly say to somebody who is thinking of working with me?
Do it. Like honestly, don't even think about it. Don't hesitate. I know for some and certainly like, financially it's an investment. And I think it's
Hmm.
hard for us to invest in ourselves.
Yeah.
Was worth every penny. Like honestly, I would have paid, like now that I know what I know, I would have paid more. But
Yeah.
it was worth it. Like
Yeah.
it's made me a better person. And I want to say out loud, I put a lot of effort in. I would say
Yeah. Yeah.
be ready to put the effort in and do the work because it's not you teach people how to fish, you don't fish for them. And
Hmm.
if somebody's not truly ready to like buy in and do the work and make the commitment to like working with you, I would
Yeah.
say be ready. But
Yeah.
also like I don't regret it at all.
Hmm.
And I think my family has probably seen the positive impact in me.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
my daughter's doing very well.
Hmm.
My husband and I, there were things where in the past, like there was a something that happened and he was scared to talk to me about it because in the past I reacted poorly to like similar scenarios and he told me and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do
Yeah.
about it, so I think that I've really grown in a way that my family benefits along with
Yeah.
myself. And I'm not
Yeah.
perfect, but I just think that it was so worth it. And I'm eternally grateful to you.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I'm eternally grateful to you because I feel so honored and privileged when people say yes to this work and they trust me to walk beside them and provide the guidance and the support. So, and I wouldn't get to do what I do and what I love so much if other people didn't say yes. So thank you as well. Um, is there anything else that you would like to add or anything else that feels important to sort of capture what this experience was for you?
I would only say I'm impressed because I've been through I mean I would say in my lifetime probably like four or five different therapists for different, different reasons and seasons. And you're not a therapist, I know that. I'm not
Mhm.
comparing you there, but um I would say you have a personal touch and you care in a way that I never got in any of those places where it didn't feel clinical. It didn't
Mhm.
feel like you were checking boxes. I could tell the level of effort that you put in. Like it didn't feel prescriptive.
Mhm.
There was definitely structure, and
Mhm.
I was very thankful to say, okay, I could see up front, we're gonna be working on these things.
Mhm.
But it felt very tailored to what I needed. I can
Mhm.
tell how much you care and
Mhm.
truly invest yourself and your time in your clients. Um, and I think that's why I was able to make so much progress.
Mhm.
And again, not therapy, um, but it had me thinking a little bit deeper in a way that I always wanted to get somewhere else. Like when I was in therapy or like having those sessions, like I always wanted to be able to progress more. But the way that you approach it and the way that you care, it feels less. I don't know, clinical is maybe not the right word, but it doesn't feel like you're
Mhm.
just like regurgitating the things that you learned in school or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very very personal.
Yeah.
And it was like, when we finished, I was like, I miss Amy. And obviously we've kept in touch and things like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was just it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm really glad to hear that because that's the goal. I mean, as you say,
Hmm.
there is
Yeah.
like a program and there is a structure.
Yeah.
But what works for you, or the order that we tackle things, or the introduction of this tool might be totally not a fit for somebody else and where they're at, right?
Yeah.
And so I think
Mhm.
it truly is so important to meet people where they are and like take the journey from there instead of say like the journey starts over here, get there,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. um Awesome. Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed like hearing more detail of your experience and your perspective in this. I really appreciate your insights and your willingness to share this with others. I really think that it makes all the difference in the world. And I'm sure people will hear, and see themselves in parts of your experience as well, which I think is really helpful too, so that we don't feel alone in this wild journey that we're all on. um, so that's really, really awesome. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful to you that we got to work together. And I'm so thrilled that this is where you are, and that you keep working on it. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Uh, so I'm going to turn the recording off. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.